Well, I'm back for another Maya modeling basics video, and I had to go to the door for something. So I'm going to create a little pipe. This is going to be something for the archway instead. I'm going to rotate this around and rotate it by 90 degrees. I'm going to delete the bottom half here, so I'm going to go to face and delete. Scale this in a little bit, and I'm just flipping between object mode, face mode, all alike, and scale this up. You can select a row of polygons if they're lined up like this right here. And I'm going to scale this out. I want to scale this up and move it upwards. Really what I should have done was use the pipe settings for this. Just kind of get the archway, and what I can do is I can grab these edge loops right here and I can scale them in to kind of flatten the twist that was happening there. And from here, we're going to start using some other Maya tools involved. And the first one, we're going to actually find it under Edit Mesh and Extrude. This one, I'm going to add it to my shelf. It's one of the most common ones. I use this all the time. And you're going to see exactly why. So with these edge loops selected, I'm going to click on Extrude, and I get this little pop-up and this little gizmo. And this gizmo, we can see that it's angled in a certain way, and I kind of don't like this. If I adjust the thickness, it's spreading out. If I adjust the local, translate Z, it's spreading out. If I click on offset, it's kind of going down, but it's also pulling out in a diagonal. I don't like how this is looking. There's this little circle with a line on it. If I click on that, we can see it switches to the line being vertical to horizontal. And our gizmo changed in space. And if I rotate, we can actually see the world coordinates, the world Z, X, and Y. This is actually matching up with that. So if I just use the green arrow to go down, it is going to extrude and add new faces to let me stretch this down to where I want to go. And I can actually hold down X to snap to those points. So here, if I go back to object mode, I now have my archway with these arches. Now, they're not lined up perfectly, and there's ways that we can actually go about with that, but we're just going to kind of like eyeball it for the most part. We can scale this up in order to kind of like line it up as best as possible right there. So now we have this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 square, 5 units, 5 meters sideways. And my concept, it's a little bit wider than that. So I'm going to actually use the scale tool and scale this out a little bit more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You know what? Let's make this like 8. I want to be able to get close enough so I can see the grid and just kind of like adjust till it's close. And I'm going to go back to this inner ring, and I'm just going to scale this out a little bit more just to kind of get that positioning in there. So from here I can duplicate and snap to points in order to line up against each other. And here I didn't even snap it to like a grid point, which I should actually do, because I want to make sure that they're situated nicely in this space and that they respect the space, since I work with an environment. And prop modeling is very similar to this. It's pretty much the same thing, because an environment is just really a bunch of props. And so there's this like ledge up here, and I'm not worrying too much about everything being very, very detailed. But as we're adding in more geometry, we're starting to see our list of objects grow. So I have these pipes right here. I'm going to select all these. You can actually hold down Control to add to the selection, or if you hold down Shift, it will add the beginning, the end, and everything in between the row, even if they happen to be inside of other groups. So you want to be careful of that. But I'm going to select all of these. I'm going to press Control G to group them up, and I'm going to call these arches. And this is the room. You know what? Let's call this walls, floor, and stairs, and upper floor. You know, they don't have to be super specific quite yet. And I just want to have all these organized in rough block out. So I'm going to have a rough block out of everything that's going to be in here. And the other thing that we could do too is we don't necessarily need to, if this side of the room is going to be mirroring the exact same thing as this side, I can group all of these up into its own group. And I can see its pivot is right in the center. So if I duplicate that and I scale it in the opposite direction, in this case, -1 in scale X, I have now halved my amount of work. And I can easily just delete this. I'm going to have this as scale duplicate parts, and maybe I'm going to create a group, don't duplicate me. So that way I know which group to duplicate across over and scale, just to make life easier. Lighting, yeah, two-sided lighting's up. And so let's start getting some more of these elements blocked in. And so I have this like upper floor area, and technically I want this wall to be pushed in more because I don't want it to be as far out as it is over here. And let's grab these vertices, and I'm going to hold down V to snap the points. So you can see exactly like how frequently I start using some of these tools. V snapping is I use all the time. It makes it so much easier to line up everything you want to be lined up. And it's one thing that I'm trying to figure out how to do easier in other software. So here, I want this wall to be pushed in. Now, you might think, well, you know, like you just grab this face, but, you know, I can't extrude just this upper part right here. So this is where another tool is going to come in, and it is under Mesh Tools, Insert Edge Loop Tool. I'm going to hold down Control, Shift, and left click to add this to my list. And this Insert Edge Loop tool, I'm going to double click to open up its tool settings. And by default, I'm going to hit Reset Tool. By default, it's going to look like this. And when we click on it, it lets us, if you left click and drag while holding down along an edge, we can see this dotted line. And this is kind of telling you, hey, where do you want to put this new edge loop? And I'm going to lock it in here. Because in this way, I can select, I can go to face mode here. Oh, I have to, that's right. It's still been stuck in this Insert Edge Loop tool. So I'm going to go back to Move. I'm going to go to face mode. And I'm now going to extrude this face forward. So let's say about here. But I don't need this or this. And I'm going to hit delete. And same with, there is a face in there. So I'm going to delete that face as well. And yeah, I'll leave that as like that for now. We'll deal with that later. So I'm just kind of starting to get an idea of these pieces right here. Now, someone walking these stairs, there's just like walls. I kind of want to make sure that there's like a little bit of a platform So I'm going to Control D to duplicate this, and I'm just going to adjust the scale, just because it's already on the same height level as everything else. Let's scale this out, and again, going to like vertices, snap to point, and I don't know how far to send that one in yet, but overall, this lets me get a better idea on where to set these stairs, or if I want these stairs to wrap around. Actually, I'm going to pull these stairs out some more. And let's move this back, again, snapping to points. And let's grab this edge and let's snap it up. And this, we can even like delete edges. You've already seen me delete faces by selecting faces and hitting delete. Edges are a little weird, because if I hit the delete key by selecting that edge and hitting delete, we can see that it still keeps these vertex points right here. And so we have to like delete them, and like that gets annoying. So if you happen to want to delete an edge, but you also want to delete the vertices with it, it's Control Backspace. And that will not only delete the edge, but also the vertices attached to that edge that are no longer attached to anything else. And, you know, that's, I think this is where looking at reference is going to help out. I'm going to bring up some reference of stairs. Oh, wow, yeah, some stairs are like a bigger degree incline. Like, some of them are like about that angle, or even like a little bit more. So, cool. So here, I kind of want to have some stairs. I'm going to put this into this corner right here. I want to have some stairs going up a flat platform, and then it turn off to each side. So here I'm just going to bring this up even more. Well, I'm going to, you know what? If I use Insert Edge tool, it doesn't know where to end it. Yeah, let's just eyeball it. So I'm going to go to the face here. I'm just going to bring this in. Click on this edge and bring it down. Just want to get that general height in there, that incline. And this platform, I'm just going to duplicate this by pressing Control D and moving this down. I'm going to shrink this in a lot more. And these, I'm going to snap onto that side. This one I'm going to snap onto this side. I'm going to go back to object mode. I'm going to move this pivot to be on the upper part so that I can also snap it to the top of this plane. And also going to do the same thing for right there. Just so that I know that that platform right there is lined up in that spot. So from here, I'm going to take this, I'm going to duplicate this stair. I'm going to hold down V to snap that corner to this point and rotate it. And I can see that this is the rotation, so I'm going to change that to 90 degrees so it's nice and square. And let's grab this back area and pull it in. And this is a lot of modeling as a whole. And this top edge, I just want to make sure that it's flush right there. And I want to check that angle, see if that angle is looking all right. And it actually is. I was expecting to have to edit a little bit, which I still might, because I want this to feel like comfortable. So minus 180, nope, just minus 90. Grab this face and we'll hold down V to snap to there. So now we have like this interesting shape, and we have this platform that wraps around. And now that I have this all set up, I know that this side is going to meet up to there. Now, you know, you're thinking, well, Josh, like we're going to be duplicating across this way, so why not just add this stair into the duplicate? And we can do that. So what we can do is we can take the stairs and I'm going to move it outside of this group. So I can use the middle mouse to click and drag. Remember how we use this in order to move our buttons around? We can do the same thing right in here. And we can actually drag it on top of duplicate parts, and now it's within this duplicate parts. So now if this duplicate parts section, I'm going to take this don't duplicate, I'm going to move it up a little bit. So this duplicate parts version, now if I press Control D to duplicate it and scale it in -1 direction, boom. But I saw that I also had this platform happening in both. So now this platform, I want to move it into the don't duplicate section. So we use the middle mouse button to click and drag. You can also select the object you want to move, hold down Control and click on where you want to move it to and press P as in parent. And we can see that now it is up there. So now if I duplicate this, I can see it's not highlighting anymore. This platform is also there. I want to move you into this don't duplicate section. So I'm going to duplicate this, scale it over -1, and we can get a better sense of how it's going to look. Now, this is feeling like a little tight in this middle area, and this is why it's nice to have these moments here in order to take a look at, okay, how is this feeling? Do I want to change anything in here so that it feels a little better? And in this case, I want more space. So I'm going to move this out more in this direction, which means that this face, I'm going to move it back. And this is why I like starting off very, very generic, because you're going to let yourself make these big moves, big changes, without having to worry so much on, how's it going to turn out? I don't even, oh, no, I do want that. So I'm going to hold down V and snap to that point right there. And what we can do is, with this room, I can create this edge loop right here. I'm going to double click on this edge loop, so it's going to grab the whole entire edge. I'm going to hold down X and snap it to this middle point. And I could even delete these faces right here. And now I just have half the room, which I can now put into the duplicate parts. So now let's see how this looks duplicated. And we can extend this out some more. And we can even extend this out some more as well. Now, if you're thinking, okay, Josh, we're constantly duplicating and flipping this one group node in the -X, like, is there a way to create a button to do all that? Yes, there is. And we're going to do that right now, actually. So this is where it's nice to know a little bit of scripting, and just like very, very basic stuff. And actually, you know what? I'm going to put this into the next video.